What a Sunday. What a Sunday. Welcome to the KHOU 11 News Studios as we are now breaking down this Houston Texans loss to the lowly Tennessee Titans. As you can see, we're also waiting for Coach DeMeco Ryans at the podium within NRG Stadium following this 32-27 loss to the Tennessee Titans. As always, we'll take your one word to describe what you saw today here on KHOU 11, the broadcast team of CBS, Tom McCarthy, Jay Feely, Ross Tucker, and Amanda Balionis. Ashley has already weighed in. Texans in shambles. Shambles is our first word. Listen, this was not your typical 2-8 football team. The Tennessee Titans have one of the best defenses statistically in the National Football League. So you knew that it wasn't going to be easy. I had spoken to Tom McCarthy, who was doing the play-by-play before for this game back on Wednesday, and I joked with him. I said, wow, with this defense that the Titans have and the Texans' struggles on offense, are you getting ready to call a low-scoring game? He goes, I thought about that. Well, look what happened. 32-27 is your final. Patricia says, shame. Kia says, disappointing. There we have those two. I'm going to try this one. Let me know what you guys think of this. Make sure I spelled it right first. Yes. I'm going to say maddening, in the sense that this team at times looks so good and at other times is the complete opposite. The defense, for the most part, I thought was pretty good. They had to work on a couple of short fields after CJ INTs and allowed just field goals. You had the pick six by Jimmy Ward. I don't think the defense, despite giving up 32 points today, is the problem. It's this offense, and it is just not on the same page. And we can talk about the offensive linemen, much like we have the previous, let's see, this is game number 12, probably 10 of those. But something is not right. And certainly in football, it's not one guy, it's not one unit, but there is just, this group is out of whack on the offensive side of the football. There's no other way to put it. What do we have here? Trey says they are who we thought they were. You're talking about the Texans or the Titans? I think most people felt the Texans were a little bit better than this coming into the season. Lately, I would agree with you. Let's see. Steven says, unbelievable. We're getting a microphone test here, I believe.
Great.
I'm guessing that was a microphone test. As we await DeMeco Ryans at the podium, I imagine DeMeco Ryans is going to be frustrated, beside himself. I'm sure he'll also say that it's tough to win on Sundays in the NFL, and this game shows that. Let's see here. Trey says pretenders. Pathetic. I think all these are good. This is what we have thus far. I might need a new board. Cowboys beat the Commanders pretty soundly today. It was tight, though, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, it was 34-26, so we have a SMH shaking my head. Chris says, Bobby has to go. Speaking of Bobby Slowick, this guy is running the same thing in the second half and refuses to change things up. Angelina says, so sad. Larry says, pathetic. Katrina, disappointed. Yeah. Let's look at the numbers. Will Levis, 18 of 24 for 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He was sacked 8 times. When you sack a quarterback 8 times, you should win the football game. Tony Pollard, former Dallas Cowboy, 119 yards rushing on 24 carries. That's 5 yards a clip. Joe Mixon, 14 carries, 22 yards. We knew this Titans defense was tough coming in. His longest rush was 8 yards. CJ, 20 of 33, 247, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He was sacked 4 times. Michelle says Fairbairn chokes when we need him. All the time. I don't know if it's all the time, but that was a very unfortunate miss. Uncharacteristic from that distance. But that's what happens when you play teams that you should beat on paper and you let them hang around. Bad things happen. Nico Collins, 5 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown, targeted 9 times. Tank Dell, 3 catches, 72 yards, targeted 5 times. Once again, there's a lot of CJ looking for a number of receivers, which we've seen quite a bit. Calvin Ridley for the Titans, 5 catches, 93 yards. Now let's listen to DeMeco Ryans.
DeMeco, there was a moment late in the game after CJ had been called for that safety where the cameras kind of caught you, your eyes were wide. I was just wondering what you were thinking in that moment after that play.
It's just a disappointing loss for us. We didn't do anything well enough to win this game. Out of all the positives that we did have, there were way too many negatives, right? Too many negative plays, right? We score, we get a penalty, we get touchdowns called back, get penalties on special teams. It's just way too many negative plays defensively, like unexplainable, right? Explosives for touchdowns. It's just, we didn't play good across the board, and that starts with me. Obviously, we weren't ready to go as a team, so that starts with me.
DeMeco, I know all losses are frustrating, but what's the most frustrating part? Just come out the field, what do you think about that? What's the most frustrating part about this loss?
The most frustrating part about it is, out of all the bad things that happened, we still had a chance to win and finish the game, right? Everything that could go wrong, it went wrong, but we still had a chance there, to tie it up, and finish the game, but we didn't.
The second half scoring's been an issue for a few weeks now. It was an issue again today. What's kind of left to try to maybe get that going? And has there been a constant that you've seen from some of those issues?
Yeah, the first thing is we have to create positive plays, right? Too many times, whether it's run or pass, we have a negative play, which it just kills our drive. So first thing first, how can we sustain positive plays and build drives? Too many drives, we're stalled out before we can even get started.
A lot of the things that we've all asked or you've replied with kind of an issue throughout the entire year. How come a lot of the little things have been so persistent in holding you guys back from reaching the potential that you guys do have?
Yeah, again, we have to be able to finish games, and that's been an emphasis of ours, is going out and finishing. And, we didn't. We didn't execute. We didn't finish the right way. And you can put that on me first.
Coach, you guys lost the last 2 one-score games. Is there a growing concern right now that you guys just need more from the offense?
The concern for me is we need to play complementary football, right? We play complementary football, we win games. When we don't, we're not relying on one side, right, to carry the entire team. So whatever happens, like our offense gave us enough points to win the game. So that starts with the defense. We didn't do enough to stop them. We didn't stop the run, and we didn't run the ball well. And we gave up way too many points on defense. So our offense did plenty. They gave us enough points. And defense, we had to be able to stop them.
There's been a couple of short situations this year where you guys have gone up tempo. What goes into the decision-making process to maybe get up to the line of scrimmage as quickly? Is that something that you're talking about with Bobby before that happens?
Yeah, that's part of our strategy, depending on the game. So that's sometimes we use it to catch teams, subbing or to catch teams off guard.
You kind of mentioned it a second ago, the inability to run the football today. What were the problems? Was it just finding open creases? Was it Tennessee's defensive line? What went into the issues up front?
Yeah, again, it starts with their defensive line. They're a really good front, right? Really good front. We knew that going into the game, but it doesn't matter. Every front is good. You gotta own the line of scrimmage. So you have to be able to control line of scrimmage and run the ball. We didn't. We had too many negative plays in the running game. And defensively, we didn't set the edge well, and the ball got outside a ton, and we didn't tackle well. So all of those mistakes are the making for a pretty bad run defense.
We got time for a few more.
Well, DeMeco, obviously, it's real easy to see the bad things that happen, but you did have a couple of good things, and one of them was Chris Boyd recovering the fumble on that muff punt.
Yeah, a lot of positive things happen. I mean, for us to get the turnover we talked about throughout the week for special teams, create a turnover, we did that. Defensively, to get a pick six, get 8 sacks in the game. It was a lot of really good things that happened, for our team. But the negatives just right now just outweigh the positives. So, our guys continue to do good things, but we have to string it together to where we can finish and celebrate those positives right after the game.
To that point, you kind of just touched on there, but how do you assess a performance like that when you do have 8 sacks and 3 turnovers, one that goes for a score, but also not being able to get it done and defensively can have any points?
Yeah, how I assess it is at the end of the day, it's not good enough, right? At the end of the day, we're trying to finish the game with a win, no matter how that looks, and we came up short.
I think there was one point in the third quarter where you all were trying to figure out whether to punt or go for it. What happened there?
Nothing happened. I decided to punt the football.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
All right.
And that was DeMeco Ryans from NRG. He used the word disappointing. He used the word disappointing, which was, I think, a couple of people here on Facebook, our KHOU 11 Facebook page, mentioned the word disappointing. He said that this team needs to play complementary football. He did mention, and I think I disagree with this, he said that the offense scored enough points. I disagree with that. Yes, they scored 27, but 7 of those points come courtesy of the defense. So I'm going to disagree with DeMeco on that. Taking a look now at more of your comments here. Justin, and I like this comment, I would say undisciplined and unaccountable. I like undisciplined because that's what this team continues to be. It is reprehensible that 12 games in, our penalties are as bad as they are, and our O-line is as pathetic as they are. Listen, this is the O-line this team is going to roll with. They did not add anyone at the trade deadline. Granted, it is hard to add a new offensive lineman to a system midway through the season, roughly. So they've tried things. They've moved Juice Scruggs from center to guard. They have inserted Jarrett Patterson at center. They're trying some things, but it is not working. You've had penalties, as Justin mentions, penalties that have just killed them at the worst times. And we saw that again in this game. So Justin said undisciplined disciplined. And as promised, everyone, I have a new board. I don't think we've done this in a while. This is a 2-board, maybe 3-board game. Beth says sloppy. Rob says sloppy. Of course, we're waiting to hear from CJ Stroud any moment. And here is CJ Stroud now at the podium.
CJ, what happened on the 2 interceptions today?
First, I just want to thank Jesus for this opportunity to play in the NFL, playing on Sunday, and just very grateful to him of being my savior. I mean, the first one couldn't really see Metch. Try to put it in the window, and we just weren't on the same page, and can't do that right there. That's giving them points, which ultimately led us to lose. And then the second one, just got to put it a little higher. If I get it to him, Nico has a lot of space to run. So just 2 mistakes that I made that can't happen.
Well, CJ, obviously had a lot of good things happen today, but where do you think the biggest struggle comes in offensively in the second half recently?
You can point a lot of places, but I always point at myself. I'm the leader of the offense. I got to get us rolling, get our rhythm, and we got to find a better way to end the first half better, start the second half better, and that's ultimately starts with me and taking care of the football and getting into a rhythm, running the ball well, getting us into the right reads, the right look. So. I would just say that's why. I mean, that's how we're going to get better. It's just I got to be better.
CJ, going in, you have one more game for the bye week. How do you make sure that you guys get back on course, go into that bye week fully healthy to be able to come back out for the final 4 games of the regular season?
Got to practice really hard. Got to be really on each other. Everybody has to look themselves in the mirror and try to get things fixed. So that'll be the plan for this week. Practicing, getting better. Personally, I got to get better. As a team, we have to get better. Trying to go to Jacksonville and get a dub before bye week.
CJ, is there ever a sense of how we're in this position again when you face some of these second and third and longs that feel like have been consistent for a few weeks now? Is you ever wondering, how does this happen again? How are we in another second, third and long situation?
Not necessarily. I try to one-play mentality as best as I can and try to execute the next play. Whatever down a distance it is, I try to put my team in the best position to get the first or to get an explosive or whatever we need to help the team. So that's just my mindset when it comes to that.
Go ahead, DJ. Obviously, you have all the time in the world. From your perspective, what do you have to do? You say you'll be a better person. What do you really have to do to improve on to help get the offense back on track?
I got to just practice better, play better. I mean, it's no secret. I mean, I haven't been playing well personally from my standard. I have a couple good drives, a couple good plays here, but it's just up and down right now. So I got to just, for me, I feel like it starts with practice and then it comes to the game, staying focused. And, I mean, I've been focused. I watch as much film as anybody, and it's just sometimes it doesn't go your way. And, I got to be harder on myself and, realize that, games can't come down to me making plays, and I didn't make enough, and I gave up the ball twice today. So I got to just be better, and I know that. So, but it's no time. I'm not going to hold my head down. I'm going to keep my chin up, chest high, and just I know I'm still a great player, but I got to just put better stuff on the field.
CJ, how much has some of the pressures and the sacks early on in the season caused you to be in the pocket later on this season?
Not much. I mean, I would say I've been pretty comfortable. Today I was pretty comfortable. We went, I think, 3 quarters without a sack, and then the fourth quarter gave a couple, and some of them were my fault. So, I would say that I'm not really too affected by them. I try to sit in there as best as I can, or when it's not open down the field, then I try to take off and make a play and, just be smart with my legs as well. But I haven't really let it affect me too much.
I see 2 quick kind of questions. What was supposed to happen on the play that you all got called for illegal motion?
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll ask the second quick one after that.
Yeah, I mean, we have a quick motion with Tank, and it was miscommunication on my part in the huddle, and 2 motions at the same time. That play kind of
maybe seals the deal. You go down the one, or I don't know if Nico scored. I stopped paying attention, but if he scored, then we give our defense the chance to stand up and then run it out, or we're on the one, run it in or throw it in, and then we give our defense another chance. So that's things that can't happen. I got to be better in the huddle. I got to give the play better and, make sure guys are on the same page. And even when we break the huddle, still communicate a little bit and make sure, everybody's doing what they're doing. But, yeah, it was my fault.
You mentioned not being sacked in the first three. Did you feel like the Titans brought more pressure in the fourth quarter? Or was it something did they bring more pressure in the fourth quarter?
No. They brought a zero, and then they brought a couple of dropout mans and things like that towards the end of the second half. The end of the first half. Second half, they brought a zero and some little one-backer replacement pressures, but nothing insane that we didn't think about. But ultimately, yeah, I wouldn't say it affected me.
Last two, Kim and then Paul.
Hey, CJ, you mentioned it a little bit earlier to Jonathan, but can you talk about the challenges just collectively you guys are having on offense from the communication standpoint?
It really hasn't been that crazy. There's a couple protections here, a couple things there, but I wouldn't say there's been too much. But that'll cost you the game is one mistake. That's NFL. That's there's the best players in the world. And I told you guys how good the Titans defense was, and we got to be better as offense and give our defense a chance to stand up at the end.
Collectively, it seems like the little things offensively have been happening all season long in terms of just little mistakes, talking about illegal formations and things like that. At this point, what from an approach perspective, practice leading up to the game, can you guys do differently to maybe get different results?
You got to keep practicing and keep playing. You tell me. I don't know. That's all I know how to do is just practice better, play better, meet better, do everything better, and when it comes out like that, it's not fun, but, it's part of the game, and we'll use it one game out of the year that'll teach us a lesson. Sadly, we have to learn right now, or it'll teach us in future years. And for me, I'm just, going to use this as a time where I need to look myself in the mirror and get better. So, yeah. All right, Josh.
And there was CJ Stroud from the podium at NRG following his 32-27 loss. His message, I've got to be better. That's what a leader does. That's what a quarterback should say, and that's what CJ was saying following this one. Mentioned the double motion, the touchdown that wasn't a touchdown to Nico Collins called back. Said it was miscommunication, says that he takes the blame for that. I don't know if it's entirely his fault. May never know. But it's interesting, before we went to CJ, Karen had a very good comment here saying, Kaimi missed a field goal against the Lions. The illegal shift to bring back the touchdown to Nico was really a blow. And yes, Karen, you're exactly right. I know this team can be a lot better than what we have seen recently. And that is why we have come up with these words on this board. That's why I said maddening, because this team shows flashes of what it can really be, but the flashes sometimes seem to be too few and far between. And that is why you lose to a team that came in 2-8. Some other comments here. Let's see, Steven says, typical. While we were listening to CJ, I noticed a couple of you said sloppy. Another one said atrocious. Too many penalties, Kathy says. 11 penalties for 81 yards. Again, I stressed this earlier. When you sack a quarterback 8 times, but you have all these other issues, 11 penalties, 2 interceptions, you can't let teams hang around like this. Let's see. Larry says, embarrassing. Yeah, I've had a couple people text me about that one. So, people, this is what we got right now. Now, the Texans head to Jacksonville. That game is no longer a gimme because of the way this team is performing on offense. Again, if you missed it, DeMeco Ryans said they need to play complementary football. He seemed to put a lot on the defense because the defense allowed 32 points. He thought, and I would disagree with DeMeco on this, that the offense did enough. I don't think the offense did enough because 7 of your 27 points were courtesy of the defense. Listen, was the defense tremendous? No, but when you get to the quarterback and you sack Will Levis 8 times, here's another thing to think about. Time of possession. The Titans had the ball for roughly 10 minutes more, or 10 minutes more, I was trying to do the math in my head, than the Texans. Guys are going to get tired, especially when you have a discrepancy like that. A couple of times the Titans picked off CJ Stroud in Texans territory, and the defense held the Titans to field goals. Those are wins in the big picture. But again, when we look at the one word, Angelina says Jacksonville will win the way the Texans will win with the way the Texans are how they're playing right now. So when we look at all of our words today, I think the one word to describe this, I guess I'm going to have to go with DeMeco's word, and that was disappointing. So for all of you who said disappointing, that's today's one word. Once again, Texans losing 32-27 in a game you saw here on KHOU 11. So with the loss, the Texans dropped to 7-5. The Titans improved to 3-8. And the race for the AFC South is not over. Fortunately for the Texans, they play in this division, which is not very good. But the Texans have to be better, or there could be trouble late next month. Plain and simple. Let's wrap up our coverage right now. Once again, the Tennessee Titans beating the Texans 32-27. My name is Jason Bristol from the KHOU 11 Newsroom. Thank you so much to all of you for weighing in and participating. Again, the Texans lose and fall to 7-5 following a 32-27 loss. Good night, everybody.